What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another Bring the Juice Colts podcast live stream. Just want to say off the top, guys, this stream is powered by BetUS. If you're looking for a sports book this season, look no further than BetUS. Guys, we're here to break down a couple different playoff scenarios and Cody, maybe even a chance for the Indianapolis Colts to maybe actually win the division. I mean, hey, it's possible. Very unlikely, but it's possible.
Yeah, no doubt. Like you said, it's possible, even though it may not be the most likely scenario. I mean, crazy. Who would have thought, Derek, the fact the Colts still have a losing record at this point, but they still are in shot of not just the playoffs, but also the division. It's kind of wild to me. And the Indianapolis Colts, really, when you look at it, one, I would say, game that's kind of like the Colts will probably not be favored in. I could be wrong on that, but it seems like the rest of the way, the final, 4 games or whatever the Colts have, they really should be favored in 3 or 4 of those games. So a very favorable schedule. I believe the easiest schedule remaining in the NFL for the Colts. And, they already, took care of one team that they should have beat barely, but they did it. So, yeah, they have a lot in front of them, Derek, and a lot of opportunity here to, crazy enough, maybe even challenge for the division, which something a couple weeks ago never would have even thought that would have been a thing. But here we are.
Yep, absolutely. Well, first things first, guys, as you're coming in, please be sure to like the stream wherever you're watching. It helps the algorithm. It helps to get out to more people. So we want to try to get as many people on here as humanly possible. Make sure to like the stream. Be sure to comment. We'll be chatting with you guys while we're doing this. And be sure to subscribe. We're just over 400 subs away from 20,000 subscribers on the channel. We would appreciate you guys if you'd be willing to subscribe if you haven't already.
Yes.
All right. So I'll just kind of show right here just the current playoff picture as it stands. 2 people have already locked down playoff spots in the AFC. The Kansas City Chiefs sitting at 11-1, and then the Buffalo Bills sitting at number 2. The Steelers not far behind at 9-3. If they win their next game against Cleveland, I think they finish as a lock for a playoff spot. Whether or not they win the division, that's a different story, but they would be a lock for a playoff spot. And then the Houston Texans finishing out the last of the division winners as it currently sits at 8-5. And they are on a bye week this week, similar to us.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers at the 5th seed at 8-4. The Ravens sitting at 6th, 8-5. And then the Broncos, they're at that number 7, that the ever so curious number 7 that the Indianapolis Colts are chasing. Because as you can see on the bubble, we are right there. And obviously, if it came down to a fight between the Dolphins and the Colts on who would get in, the head-to-head obviously gives the Indianapolis Colts the benefit of the doubt. So ultimately, Cody, that is basically where you're at, where you talk about what are the chances that you can get in, and the teams behind you, you really don't have to worry too much. The Bengals are basically a game and a half behind us right now. The Browns, I don't care about. So, and the Dolphins, I'm not even worried about it. You control your own destiny at this point.
Yeah, and you have the tiebreaker over the Dolphins as well. So
Yep.
That's definitely helpful.
Absolutely. So, we could talk about 2 different scenarios here in which the Colts can make it in.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly we'll kind of just go with the division win, right? So let's just look at like most unlikely scenario, right? So if you guys want to check this out, New York Times has a NFL playoff simulator. So you guys can check that out. And it's cool too because it gives the current rankings of like their chances of making the playoffs over the last few weeks, and their current chances of making the playoffs now, winning the division, a round one bye, and a Super Bowl chance. So it kind of gives you a cool indication of that. So, in order for so let's say this. So the Indianapolis Colts are going to have to finish with a better record than the Houston Texans in order for us to even win the division, right, Cody? Yeah. We don't have the division record. I don't think Houston has yet to lose against a divisional opponent. I don't believe they have.
We'll pull it up. Yeah, I want to pull that up real quick.
They have.
Let me look at their schedule.
Now, as it currently stands, the Texans are sitting at a 96% chance to make the playoffs and a 95% chance to win the division. Mm-hmm. Again, that 5%, it's crazy, obviously. But right. You never know.
You never know.
So let's say this. So let's say if the Texans lose, so let's say somehow, some way, as far as winning the division, I wonder where that is, because so their division record. So we would need for the Houston Texans to lose 3 of their last 4, Cody, in order to see the Indianapolis Colts pass them. So the Colts would have to win out, and Houston would have to lose 3 of their last 4.
Yeah.
Do you see a scenario in which that happens? Because as it currently sits, you have the Dolphins,
mm-hmm.
Who are trying to fight their way back. You have the Chiefs, who obviously are trying to contain that number 1 spot. And then you have the Ravens and the Titans at the end of it. Now, I will say this, Cody. These 3 games right here are all played within a span of 10 days.
Wow.
Yes. So, honestly, let me even look it up. I'll make sure to look it up before. I'm obviously not going to let you guys see my screen. So, they have the Dolphins next Sunday, right? So, after their bye, they have the Dolphins on December 15th. They play the Kansas City Chiefs on Saturday. So basically within the same week. And then 4 days later, we'll play the Ravens on Christmas. So that's a lot of football, Cody, within a span of 10 games. I mean, it could be very well possible that Houston could lose 2 out of those 3, and then it might just come down to the Tennessee Titans to play a ball buster for the Houston Texans this year.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Derek. I guess it'll be the biggest one will be, can Houston come away even 1-2 in those 3 games? Can they at least win one of those games, right? Because, I mean, Houston, let's be honest, Houston's underperformed this year. They're going to be without their star linebacker Al-Shazir for 3 games. So the most important 3 games are going to be without him, which is definitely a big loss for them. And I do see a scenario, Derek, it's crazy that it is, where Houston maybe wins 1 game there, or maybe none. I mean, you never know with division games. Even though the Titans aren't that great this year, you never know what's going to happen. And so I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility at all, Derek, that Houston goes through the rest of these 4 games and maybe they go winless. I mean, I don't think it's likely, but I think it's possible. I think it's certainly possible, which is kind of crazy to think about because I thought Houston would, be right in the middle of things, and they still are in a lot of ways, but you don't feel as confident that Houston can pull it out like maybe you thought, at the beginning of the season or even earlier in the season. They have definitely been underperforming in some ways this year. So, yeah, I am. And I mean, Derek, we saw the last game. Let's just point to that last game that they played. I mean, they barely beat the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence out, just coming back and then getting out, and they barely slid by. So I'm not really buying Houston right now. I don't really think any of the teams in this division right now, Derek, at this current point, are legitimate playoff contenders and legitimate like AFC contenders. So Houston, I mean, it's kind of funny, Derek. You see, you saw the different teams last year. You saw Jacksonville get off to that hot start, like they got to that really hot start and they crumbled along the way, some injuries, some other factors. Could that be another similar situation to the Houston Texans here, where this happens, where they get out to a strong start, they have firm control in the division, and then all of a sudden, Derek, they start losing games, or they're in these games they shouldn't be. They should have blown this team out, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, the division's a lot more in reach than we initially thought. I'm not saying it's going to happen because I think it's a lot less likely this year than it was last year. But Derek, Houston's not that great of a team, some believe it or not. Like a lot of people thought they were like Super Bowl contenders. I don't think they are. Which is crazy to think about.
Well, I mean, you saw when I had this. So obviously, if somehow, some way, Houston lost out, like completely lost out, chances of making the playoffs still over 56%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the likelihood they would actually not make the playoffs at this point is just laughable. Yeah. But obviously, to win the division, that's the big thing.
But it's still, to be fair, like this is a very this would have to be a crazy circumstance for them to not at least win one or two of these games. Like I think legitimately they should win it. They should win against the Dolphins at home, and they should beat the Titans. Like they should.
They should. But it's an AFC South game. We know anything can happen. Again, last year, all Jacksonville had to do was win. And then they would have made it into the playoffs.
Yep.
And they found a way to lose it.
You know what's
ironic? A
Titans
team that clearly was not good. So
you know what is ironic, Derek, is all the way back to 2021, an AFC South team has been in firm control and then collapsed down the stretch. The Colts in 21, talk about 22, Tennessee. You talk about the Jags last year. Could the Titans be the next team up? And that's what Thad's saying here. Could it?
Tennessee collapsed in 2022. Jags collapsed in 2023. Did the Texans collapse in 2024?
Yeah. That last game for the Colts is not in Jacksonville, and the Colts have typically done well at home against Jacksonville. So.
They're usually 50-50 when it comes to playing Jacksonville at home.
Right. You never know. And who knows? I mean, Trevor Lawrence is out for the season, so we're not going to see Trevor Lawrence. It's going to be Mac Jones.
We don't see him. And, I mean, Jacksonville's looked terrible. Yeah. I mean, I know they've always looked bad, but they look even more terrible now.
Yeah,
because of all things considered.
Their fans are clamoring for the number one pick. That's how bad it is.
Yeah. Yeah, they're playing for the number one overall pick right now. And so, and of course, now the Indianapolis Colts with Anthony Richardson playing better now, your offense is going to be a little bit better. Will it be better than what we saw against the first week against the last time we played them? I don't know. Scoring 34 points? I don't know. But again, our defense looked absolutely terrible against Trevor Lawrence the last time. But, again, it probably will look terrible again against Mac Jones. But then again, I would rather be terrible against Mac Jones than be terrible against Trevor Lawrence, because at least then you still have a better chance to win. Albeit there's not a great that you can never say guaranteed.
I have no faith in this defense. I mean, to be honest with you, I have no faith in Gus Bradley. And that's why I think all these games, Derek, are toss-ups for the Colts. Even though the Colts should win some of these final games, it's not a guarantee they're going to, because I mean, Derek, they almost lost to New England. I mean, come on. So anything's possible. They let one of the worst offenses, almost score 30 on them. I mean, they should have scored 30 on them, honestly. So, but yeah, as far as the quarterback situation goes, AR, I think he had his worst performance. He's going to have an extra week now to prepare for the Broncos. That's going to be, I think, Derek, that Denver game is going to be the biggest thing for the Colts. I think number one, for the division, and number 2, just for the playoffs in general, because it's a very tight race in, those final wild card spots. So even if it is just for that, I mean, the difference between 9 and 10 games, Derek, obviously is astronomical. So no doubt that's going to be a massive game for the Colts. And if they're able to take care of that, I mean, can you imagine just the confidence it would build in this young team? I mean, this team that's just gone through it, gone back and forth. 1 week you're like, okay, there's some hope. And the next week you're like, I don't even know where we're going here. But it is certainly exciting, Derek, from the standpoint of you do have a young quarterback. He has been playing better. And you've been in every single game pretty much this year with this young quarterback. And so it's exciting. It's very exciting. I mean, Detroit's the only game you technically weren't in, but even that game, Derek, you had your chances. So, and you probably should have been in that game a lot more if some guys would have hold on to some balls and you would have got any protection for AR. But with this offensive line, hopefully now figuring it out a little bit more, I'm hopeful that the running things like the run game and just overall protection of Anthony Richardson will be just so much better. So, yeah, anything's possible, man. Anything's possible.
Yeah, so I think for me specifically, I think this is how the season might end. I agree that I think them coming out of the bye, they're going to be amped up. They're going to be ready to go because of what is happening with Al-Shire. So there's that. Pletcher, as much as I would like for Ballard to not return after this season, I do think he will, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I do think they'll lose. They'll beat the Dolphins, but I think they'll lose to the Chiefs and the Ravens. One, because the Chiefs, I mean, the refs, they have the refs on their side. They'll never lose again, besides Buffalo. And then the Ravens are fighting hard right now. I know that they're struggling a little bit, but we saw the last time what this Ravens team did to this Texans team. And albeit the defense of the Ravens is not good right now, but the team for Houston is not playing very good right now either.
Yeah, neither team is playing well. I mean, both are very beatable. So,
and then I have to hide hope. I have to hope that the Titans will beat them at the very end. The Titans will play ball buster one time.
Just please.
One time.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But that is pretty much it, guys, for like chances to win the division. Now, of course, again, Indy has to win out in order for that to even happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously it don't matter what happens with the Texans if ultimately we don't end up getting what we want. So you got to go to the Colts. And before we actually do go any further here, guys, just want to say again, this stream is powered by BetUS. If you guys are looking for a sports book this season, look no further than BetUS. Now, of course, Indianapolis doesn't have a game this week, but that still doesn't mean you can't get in on some of these other, favorites. Right now, the Philadelphia Eagles at a 13.5-point favorite over the Carolina Panthers. I mean, my goodness. Wow. A couple of really close matchups here among some of these players. And I mean, again, you want to vote on this Jacksonville versus Tennessee matchup that we're about to see, the battle of the low ends of the AFC South. You can put some money in on this right now. And of course, guys, they don't just have football. They have hockey, they have basketball, baseball, tennis, racing, anything that you guys actually want to check out. So be sure to check out BetUS, guys. And of course, be sure to use this promo code. You can use promo code YouTube150 and get a 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit, then a 125% sign-up bonus on your next 2 deposits. Just be sure to use the promo code YouTube150. But of course, guys, always bet responsibly.
Yeah, Derek, I have a few things I want to say. First off, I know since we're kind of in that promo mode right here, real quick, we are partnered, by the way, I don't know if everybody saw this, with Green Gridiron. They do some great stuff from mini helmets to full-size helmets. If you follow that link right there, I'll also put it in the description. And you use the code JUICE, you can get a discount on your order. So we're partnering with them. We get a certain amount of, commission or whatever from helping promote their stuff. So if you guys are wanting to help us out in any way, and also, hey, Christmas is coming up real quick. So if you're wanting to do that, be sure to check out Green Gridiron and what they do over there. And if you do end up purchasing something for yourself or for a family member, there's all sorts of, it doesn't even have to just be Colts. It can be a lot of different teams. There's all the different teams of the NFL. And there's some pretty sweet things there, Derek. There's some awesome helmets. There's even like an option for like some customizable helmets as well. So be sure to check that out, guys. Derek, I know I want to definitely at some point, talk to the guys there and get like a custom Bring the Juice full-size helmet. I think that would be awesome with our logo on the side. I think that'd be super cool. So, but guys, be sure to do that and use that promo code right there, JUICE, for a discount on your order with Christmas coming out, probably doing some Christmas shopping. If you are a Colts fanatic or just an NFL fanatic or you know anybody who is, be sure to go check them out over there. Also, Derek, on a completely different note, you guys be sure to go check out, if you're on Twitter, if you're on X, go check out my post or Bring the Juice post or something. We're doing a giveaway for one of those mini helmets, courtesy of Green Gridiron. And we are asking if you do sign up, there's some instructions there, but we're trying to push people to our Bring the Juice Reacts channel. We've really been putting in some work there. Right now we're at 1,560. I'd love to get that to 2,000 real quick. So if everybody in the chat could go do that, we greatly appreciate that. If you go like onto our main page there, you can see related channels, Bring the Juice Reacts, or you can just search it, BTJ Reacts on YouTube. But that's all I got, Derek. Just wanted to promote a few things there that we have coming up and some partners that we're doing, and it's all good stuff. But yeah. Anyway, let's continue.
Absolutely. All right. Well, so yeah, it's going back to Indianapolis' situation here. So for chances of, so if they went out, they basically have a 99 or 98, 99% chance to make it. Now, I mean, it probably doesn't include, I'm probably going to see if I can include some things here. I'm going to say, put the Texans in for a couple of these. I actually want to say, let's just say the Texans, win and lose a couple of these. And then I kind of want to see what happens when you select the Broncos on this. I think the Broncos are off this week as well. I think they're off this week. Yeah, right. They're on bye. So they'll so if they lose to us, and then so let's just say the Broncos, even if the Broncos end up, let's see here. So if the Broncos win out, even after us, we have a 62% chance of making it. But obviously it comes down to a couple different things here. So, again, if we were to win out, then, we have a really good chance. But you have to also look at the Broncos situation. The Broncos, so say if the Broncos lose to the Colts, then, it kind of levels it out very much so. Man, it really would have been nice for Cleveland to actually finish the job last week.
That would have
given, because if the Broncos would have lost to the Browns when Indy faces the Broncos, if we beat them, then we would immediately be the 7th seed right there and then, because of the fact that we had the better record, right? So that's the kind of situation that you're in. So the only thing is if the Broncos win, so if the Broncos win out after that, they're making the playoffs 100%. So, so it's not enough for Indianapolis to just beat Denver. Now, obviously, Cody, if we lose to Denver, I'm just going to check. Like, I'm going to go back to this, and I'm going to go back to Indianapolis. So if the Colts lose this, you have a 7% chance after that. Wow. So, I mean, even if the Colts won out, their playoff odds barely increase. They're at a 24% chance. There's virtually no chance that Indy would make it in because, you know, this matchup matters so much. So, ultimate case here, Cody, of everything, you have to beat the Broncos if you want a chance to win to get into the playoffs.
It's massive. It's the biggest game the Colts have on the remaining on their schedule. I mean, no doubt. I mean, the Colts just need to take care of business, Derek. I mean, there are bound to be some teams that the Colts are going to be, you know, competing with here for some final spots that are going to drop some games they shouldn't drop, that are going to lose some games they should have lost, they should have won. Like, we know that's inevitable. That's going to happen. But for the Colts, yeah, you just got to focus week to week, and you just got to take care of business and win out. And if they win out, Derek, I do believe they're, like you looked at it, their chances are above 50%. So it's very likely that they, you know, at least will get one of those spots. But yes, the Denver game is going to be the difference for the Colts this season on whether they make the playoffs or not. I mean, it's a massive game. I mean, no doubt in my mind. I mean, the difference between 10-7 and 9-6, Derek, or whatever it is. I guess that's now another game. I always think of so 10-7. Would it be 10-7?
Yeah, if we win out,
yes,
then we would be 10-7.
And if you lose that, you're 9-8 again. Yeah. And
so
missing the playoffs most likely.
Yeah, because in order for us, so Cody, say we do go 9-8. Mm-hmm. So we say we do go 9-8, and Miami does not win out. Or I know they're actually not going to win out. They actually, I think, still have 5 games left to play. So yeah, so say Miami only wins 4 or 5. Again, if Miami goes 9-8, they don't make it in because we have the head-to-head on them. That's okay. And Cincinnati would have to win out in order to even have a chance. And Cincinnati's defense, the way they're playing, they're not winning 5 games in a row. I don't buy that. So if Indy does go 9-8, and say they lose to the Giants or something, right? If they lose to the Giants, if they lose to the Jaguars, if they lose to Tennessee. Now, I'm not entirely sure who would have the better conference record at that point. But again, conference record only matters when you don't have a head-to-head with the team that you're trying to go against and you have the same record. But since Indy and Denver do have that head-to-head matchup, that's why this one plays such a big part in it. So, in order for Indy to get in at 9-8, Denver has to lose at least 2 games, the remainder of their schedule. They have to lose at least 2 out of 3. Honestly, no, it's actually at a point where they have to lose 2 of their last 3. Now, I did point this out. I did tweet about it. There's a good chance it could happen. Now, I mean, the Denver Broncos, they've been playing pretty good this year. That defense is pretty solid, and Bo Nix has definitely gotten something to work for him. He hasn't looked amazing, or he has looked pretty amazing besides the Browns game. The Browns game he kind of came back down to earth a little bit. But you're facing the Chargers, who are trying to remain in their spot.
Yep.
You're going to face the Bengals, who again are never going to give up. They refuse to give up. And then regardless if it's week 18, as long as Buffalo and the Steelers keep winning, and Kansas City might lose a game or 2 here, Cody, the Chiefs might, in week 18, might actually care enough to try in that game. Honestly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is a crucial difference if the Broncos would have to lose 3 of their last 4 in order for us to get in if we went 9-8. Now, obviously, if we went 10-7, and we beat the Broncos there, the Broncos would only have to lose one more game and Indy would get in over them. So it's huge.
Yeah. There's so many scenarios that could be happening, It's crazy. Like there's so many different things that could happen, might happen. But again, Derek, like we said, like the biggest thing for the Colts, Denver is the biggest. I mean, that's the biggest game. And then you just have to continue to win. I mean, that's basically it. Colts got to handle their own business. And I think you're in a scenario, Derek, it's kind of nice because you're in a scenario where it's very likely that if you handle your business, you don't have to have much help. Like you'll have to have some help, but it's not like it's been before, where you're like, okay, there's these very unlikely scenarios that have to happen. And now that's what would happen for the Colts. Like the Colts are right in it, which is crazy to say. But yeah, it's kind of wild. And that's what it starts with. Like Isaac says, it starts with winning out. That's the most important thing for the Colts. They got to do that because there will be teams that falter down the stretch. And if the Colts want any chance, they cannot be one of those teams. They can't be.
You're absolutely right. They're gonna have to do it. And I mean, you know what? You beat the Broncos, and you know what? I mean, yeah, we have a very favorable schedule at the end of the year. But I mean, two things with that. One, obviously, none of it matters unless you beat Denver. That's the number one thing. Number two thing is you can never take any of these teams lightly because, again, Tennessee, they got nothing to lose by playing you at your hardest. So, therefore, they're going to play you at their hardest because they want to play spoiler and because they know what Indy's fighting for and they have a chance to play spoiler with that. And then the Giants, I mean, miss me with the Giants stuff, but I mean, yeah, the Giants are just are the Giants. And of course, Jacksonville, I can never look at it and say, oh, Jacksonville's, an easy one. They're not, even when we're not facing Trevor Lawrence and at home. But I mean, that would be a huge home atmosphere, Cody, to be back at home
when you're in
against the Jaguars, knowing there's a playoff spot on the line if you are indeed have won out to that point.
It would be a 2020 scenario again, Derek. Win and you're in. You remember that back in 2020, the Colts had to win that game. Jacksonville was not good that year. They made life tough on the Colts, but the Colts were able to win. JT sealed it. So, yeah, that would be an electric atmosphere, Derek. That would be like an amazing, amazing scenario if the Colts were able to do that. That would just be incredible. So that would set up for such an electric game, at the end of the year. If the Colts are sitting there, they would be 9-7 at that point. A chance to go 10-7, a chance to get into the playoffs for the first time since 2020. I mean, that would be incredible.
And could you imagine too? You have two divisional matchups in week 18.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine if the Houston Texans are 9-7? The Indianapolis Colts are 9-7.
Yep.
And basically, it's a winning you're in situation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think of how crazy week 18 could be for the AFC South if that is what goes according to plan.
Man, that would just make up for all the crap of this season. That would make it worth it right there.
Oh, yeah. But Indianapolis got to take care of their business, man. They got to take care of their business first.
That's what it starts with, man. That's what's going to have to happen for the Colts to even be in that situation to begin with. They got to take care of their business.
Oh, yeah. So somebody's saying if the Chargers lose on Sunday, they may go down to the 7th seed. Why? Is it because would they have a worse division record than the Broncos? Is that why? Yeah, they might have a worse record in some ways because they would have the same record as the Broncos, and the Ravens are on a bye. So if the Chargers lose against Kansas City, they would lose. They would move down past the Ravens, and they might have a worse divisional record than Denver does. I have no idea.
Right. Oh, man.
Jags will spoil like they always do. Colts are their Super Bowl.
If it was in
Don't say that.
Jacksonville, yeah, if it was in Jacksonville, I mean, I'd be a lot less confident. But
This
I'm
is
still not confident.
This is an abomination. Look at this shit.
Ugh.
Vikings at 10-2, the 5th seed. The seed right above them, 6-6. That's an abomination.
Wow,
It's an abomination.
that is insane.
Us Texans fans told y'all that Gardner Minshew would be the better quarterback and would take off further than AR. Yeah, and look at where Gardner Minshew is now. Before the injury, he got benched. Same as Anthony Richardson. Only difference was Anthony Richardson came back and got better. Gardner Minshew didn't, and then Gardner Minshew ended up breaking his collarbone.
Everybody likes the developmental part of a quarterback, the excitement of that until the developmental part happens. We've been saying that all year, and we saw a lot of the crap, Derek, with AR. We're off topic, I know, but we saw a lot of the crap early on this season, where people, I mean, we heard it. You heard it all the time. I mean, got a lot of people that were in our comment sections that were calling us out, all that stuff for that. And, I'm like, as much as people are going to hate this and hate us, keep saying it, this is what needs to happen. He needs to continue to gain experience. And obviously the 2-week benching, we were not a fan of it, especially if it was going to be a long-term thing, like the Colts were implying it might be the whole season. But for a 2-week thing, that we're a lot better about that. And obviously you've seen it. It's worked. The message has gotten through. So I'm just excited about the future of AR, man. I think we've seen tangible evidence this year that he has grown as a quarterback, grown obviously as a person and as a leader this year. I mean, this was something, Derek, where we were like, are the Colts and AR done? Like you saw those people talking about that, which is just wild to now think about, like that was real conversations, and they were legitimate conversations, is like that the Colts broken all trust with AR. But I also give Shane Steichen credit. Like the Colts knew, and I don't even know if it was him, whoever did it, it was the right move at the time. It was the right move. And here we are. And I'm glad that it worked out, Derek. I'm just very glad it worked out in the end. And obviously he's still got a long way to go, but there are a lot of positive signs. He's done things that a leader is doing. He's taken accountability, and he's grown. And I mean, he's like we've said forever, he's the second youngest starting quarterback in the league, and he's still going to grow. Like he's still got a long way to go and a long way to grow. So and that is also to say, Derek, I'll add one more thing. There's still going to be growing pains. Like there's still going to be things, because again, he hasn't even played an entire season yet. Yeah,
he hasn't played an entire season's worth of games yet. What is it now? It'd be like his 13th start.
Let's see. I'll pull it up here.
Yeah, how many starts has he actually had in the NFL now? Now remember, just because he had the start doesn't mean he played through the whole game. Yeah. Remember, he's had a couple of games where he started and didn't finish.
Yeah. So this year had Houston, Green Bay, Chicago, Pittsburgh, which he left that game, so you don't really count that game.
Yep.
So we'll say 3 games right now. That Miami game, so that's 4. The Houston game, the second Houston game, that's 5. And then he was benched, and he came back for New York.
And he's had 3. So 8 games this year.
8 games this year.
And then he had, 3 or 4 last year?
Let me pull that up. 4. Because he had some games last year, that Houston game the first time, where he had technically 4 starts, but you really could say probably 3.
But, do you consider the other one? Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, this guy has had 11 true, genuine starts.
That's crazy.
To his collegiate career, or to his NFL career. And he only had the 13 in college. So, again, only 24 starts. Again, that is drastically low for
24 full games, essentially.
Most experienced veteran quarterbacks from college come in with at least those amount of games in college.
That's
a lot of them more.
That's huge right there to not have that, Like, heck, Bo Nix. Look at how much playing time he had in college, how many games he started, how many games he played. That's huge. That's huge.
Oh, yeah. So, again, we're completely off topic, but I think you and I can both agree that, I mean, we're definitely seeing the growing pains, and there's still things he has to get better at, but you're right. From the benching on, the benching did something to him, and he is 100% more locked in right now. He's locked in. He's playing better football. Shane Steichen is doing a better job of allowing him to be part of the run game. Also doing a better job of more passes getting out of his hands quicker rather than going deep as often. I still think they're going deep quite a bit more than they should, but he is starting to hit the checkdowns a little bit more frequently.
A credit to Shane as well, because I feel like ever since the benching, he has been just a better play caller the last couple of weeks too. No more, attuning the Colts to more of AR skill set. Like you said, like with the RPOs, with all that stuff, with the short to intermediate game, which, by the way, AR's looked a lot better in so far since coming back, which has been good. I mean, there no further evidence than that final play against the Patriots, the final, not the 2-point conversion, the touchdown, where AR, I mean, dude, that is one of the calmest times I've ever, considering everything that's going on. Like, he was so calm in that pocket. He was so patient. And I don't know if that's something he does earlier this season, Derek. So definitely good, tangible progress.
Yep, absolutely. Anyways, so somebody's saying, look at the Chargers schedule.
Yeah, pulled up.
Yeah, we got it right here. So,
okay,
let's see here. So they face the Chiefs. Let's say they lose to the Chiefs. And then they got the Buccaneers. Hey, listen, I like the Buccaneers' chances. They're getting all their weapons back.
Yeah.
So I'll say that.
Broncos is a toss-up. That could go either way.
Broncos is the toss-up one. Yeah,
I mean, lose 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Pretty easily.
But then I would assume they beat the Patriots. I would assume they beat the Raiders again. I would assume. So,
yeah.
I mean, they still have a 91% chance to make the playoffs because they're going to be 10-7. So, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know how that impacts, how that impacts us. I don't think it really matters because I still think that they'll end up with a better record than most of us. So, all right. Well, I mean, I think that was pretty much everything, Cody.
Yeah.
Got anything else you want to add?
No, I'm going to enjoy my bye week. That's for sure. I'm going to live a stress-free week for 1 week, which will be kind of nice. But we'll be ready to go, man, rocking for this Denver game because biggest game of the season, 100% right now.
It's the game defining. It's the game defining this season.
Oh,
it really is.
It is the season.
Because if we lose, the chances of us making the playoffs are almost pretty much shot in the water. It's basically that we would basically be a lone body out in a large body of water, and a sniper has us in the scope ready to shoot down, just needs the word, and then the word would be Denver winning enough games to put them over us still. Yeah, so it's close.
Yeah, I'd say if they don't pull it out, then it's pretty unlikely, like you said. And unfortunately, I don't know how much faith I have in this team. I'm gonna root for them, obviously, but I don't know, man. And if we lose this game, we continue to lose games because of the defense. If the defense and also the pass catchers, like Jay Hall is saying here, those are some of the reasons. Then I mean, who do you put that on? Do you put that on the coaching staff? Do you put that on the GM? Do you put that on a little bit on everybody? I don't know. But I think, Derek, honestly, and people may not like this, and you might disagree with this final stretch might honestly, Derek, in my opinion, it might honestly be the difference between some people in this organization keeping jobs or the Colts looking somewhere else. I could be wrong on that. But, how does that look on your resume if you're Chris Ballard? You're going into year 9. You haven't won the playoffs in 4 years. You haven't gone to the playoffs in 4 years. Haven't won the division once. Here we are again. You're back in the same – I mean, obviously it's different because you have your quarterback, but you're back in the same scenario without a playoff, without the playoffs again, without the division again. And again, a lot of these players that you brought in and you re-signed are part of the problem right now. So I don't know. But certainly Gus Bradley. If the defense continues to struggle, I don't see a scenario, Derek, where Gus Bradley's back. I mean, he wasn't Shane Steichen's pick. I think they let Shane pick his own guy. And I think they should let Shane pick his own guy.
I agree.
So a guy that's very much like more of an attacking DC. We haven't had that really in a long time. I don't know the last time we've had one. I mean, Eberflus certainly wasn't that either. So I want to get a DC that actually like complements the offense, where it's not a react defense like we have now. It's an attack defense, where you're sending the exotic blitzes. You're doing stuff that is unprecedented. And yeah, there might still be issues with this defense, but dude, it can't get any worse than it's been. I mean, it's just been that bad.
True that. Well, once again, guys, shout out to BetUS for powering today's stream. And thank you guys so much for tuning into this one. We were breaking down all of the situations where the Indianapolis Colts could still make the playoffs. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, whether or not you think Indy has a good chance. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.